tempat di mana ketika kamu kembali dalam kehangatan keluarga. Rumah adalah tempat kita merasa nyaman dan tenang. Cahaya yang memandumu pulang, kehangatan yang membuatmu tetap di sana. Tidak ada hal seperti tinggal di rumah untuk kenyamanan sesungguhnya. Sebagai perusahaan developer yang berawal mula dari perusahaan konsultan arsitek yang memiliki pengalaman di jasa desain arsitektur selama kurang lebih 15 tahun berkarya, GNA Group telah banyak menghasilkan desain-desain perusahaan terbaik dan yang mewujudkan hunian premium dengan kawasan integrated development yang tersebar di sejumlah kota di Indonesia dan menghasilkan beberapa penghargaan dari berbagai instansi majalah properti di Indonesia sebagai developer dengan desain terbaik. Dengan komitmen yang kuat, kami berusaha memberikan yang terbaik pada semua produk yang kami hasilkan. We build house like our home.
Indonesia, negeri yang kaya raya akan sumber daya alamnya. Bisa kita lihat, deretan hijau yang menghampar menjadi pertanda luas dan suburnya Nusantara.
Sejarah pun mencatat kemakmuran Indonesia sebagai negeri agraris, mengukuhkan bahwa sektor pertanian adalah sumber utama pemenuh kebutuhan pangan negeri ini. Dan kini, Indonesia terus berjuang lebih keras untuk merealisasikan kejayaan pangan bagi rakyatnya.
Sebagai produsen pupuk terbesar dan terlengkap di Indonesia, Petrokimia Gresik telah berhasil mengukuhkan posisinya sebagai perusahaan solusi agroindustri terkemuka di Indonesia. Berlokasi di atas lahan lebih dari 450 hektar, Petrokimia Gresik aktif memproduksi beragam pupuk dan produk kimia lain sejak dioperasikannya pabrik pertama pada 10 Juli 1972. Dan kini telah mencapai angka produksi yang fantastis, yakni mencapai lebih dari 8,9 juta ton per tahun. Ini menjadi bukti bahwa Petrokimia Gresik selalu berupaya mewujudkan visinya. Beragam produk berkualitas hadir menjadi idola dalam sektor pertanian negeri. Tak heran jika Petrokimia Gresik berhasil menjadi produsen pupuk unggulan di Indonesia. Selain produk pupuk berkualitas, Petrokimia Gresik juga memproduksi produk non-pupuk. Berbagai produk tersebut menunjukkan konsistensi dan komitmen Petrokimia Gresik sebagai perusahaan untuk solusi agroindustri.
Melalui berbagai program pendidikan dan pelatihan, serta pengembangan sumber daya manusia, Petrokimia Gresik terus berupaya meningkatkan kinerja dan kompetensi karyawannya agar terus selalu berinovasi.
Sebagai perusahaan yang selalu mengedepankan kualitas dalam seluruh aspek, Petrokimia Gresik menerapkan sistem manajemen mutu, sistem manajemen lingkungan, dan sistem manajemen keselamatan dan kesehatan kerja yang berfokus pada health, safety, environmental excellence, dan sistem manajemen pengamanan yang terintegrasi dengan baik. Untuk mendukung kegiatan operasional perusahaan, Petrokimia Gresik menyediakan berbagai fasilitas pendukung, di antaranya 4 dermaga berstandar internasional yang terdiri dari dermaga utama, dermaga UBB, dermaga konstruksi, dan dermaga C. Di unit pembangkit listrik, gas turbin generator menghasilkan daya listrik 33 MW dan steam turbin generator SA1 serta cogeneration. Yang keduanya memiliki kapasitas total sebesar 50 MW. Sedangkan unit utilitas memiliki kapasitas steam 2 kali 150 ton per jam serta tenaga listrik sebesar 32 MW. Petrokimia Gresik juga memiliki unit penjernihan air di Babat yang berkapasitas 2.500 meter kubik per jam dan di Gunung Sari yang berkapasitas 3.000 meter kubik per jam. Sebagai perusahaan yang peduli terhadap lingkungan, pengelolaan limbah di Petrokimia Gresik juga dikelola secara serius. Unit pengolahan limbah cair serta gas menggunakan sistem 3R, reuse, recycle, dan recovery.
Beralih dari fasilitas pendukung, adanya laboratorium di Petrokimia Gresik merupakan wujud dari penerapan fungsi quality control terhadap proses produksi yang berlangsung secara baik dan terencana.
Aspek lain yang tak kalah penting adalah membangun jaringan pemasaran dan persebaran yang kuat.
Petrokimia Gresik telah berhasil membangun jaringan distribusi yang kuat dan tersebar di seluruh Indonesia. Meski telah menunjukkan kinerja luar biasa, sejak berdiri, Petrokimia Gresik hingga saat ini terus berinovasi dengan pemanfaatan teknologi mutakhir. Selanjutnya terdapat kebun percobaan yang memiliki fasilitas laboratorium, mini plant pupuk NPK, petroganik, pupuk hayati, dan petroseed, serta unit bioproses untuk mendukung pengembangan teknologi hayati. Dalam menjalankan bisnisnya, Petrokimia Gresik selalu mengacu pada tata nilai perusahaan yang dikenal dengan untuk melindungi semua pemangku kepentingan dalam kegiatan operasional, prinsip good corporate governance juga diterapkan dalam setiap aspek operasional perusahaan.
Dengan integrasi antara fasilitas, sistem, dan kerja keras insan Petrokimia Gresik, perusahaan pun membuahkan hasil yang manis. Selain itu, kesuksesan ini juga ditunjang dengan dukungan anak perusahaan dan usaha patungan Petrokimia Gresik. Melalui berbagai program pemberdayaan masyarakat, kerjasama kemitraan, serta pelestarian lingkungan, Petrokimia Gresik ingin tumbuh dan berkembang bersama masyarakat, menciptakan harmoni untuk mewujudkan visi. Tak
Tak hanya itu, kesejahteraan karyawan terjamin dengan adanya fasilitas yang lengkap, mulai dari rumah ibadah, sekolah, rumah sakit, hingga kompleks Tridharma. Dari awal hingga akhir kita telah menyaksikan bagaimana Petrokimia Gresik berkontribusi terhadap sektor pertanian, serta upayanya memberikan solusi atas permasalahan pangan nasional. Petrokimia Gresik, solusi agroindustri.
Okay, because all finalists and judges have entered the room, we will start the event. Welcome to the final judging of
International Architectural Competition, Wiswakharman Expo 2022. The honorable judges for final judging and our delighted finalists. With the grace of God Almighty, this morning all of us can gather at this meeting to carry out discussion and presentation as a series of judging events for ISC WEX 2022. Once again, welcome to Mr. Anton Siura, Mr. Yori Antar, Ms. Hwang Previously introduced me Renata with my partner Siva. As architecture students of Universitas Gadjah Mada, we will be the moderator and accompany all finalists from the beginning of the final judging series of ISC WEX 2022 until this event ends. Before we begin, we would like to thank our sponsor and media partner for today's event, JNA Group, PT Petrokimia Gresik, PT Global Rancang Selaras, PT Jaya Sakti Barutama, Petro Kopindo Cipta Selaras, PT Pupuk Kalimantan Timur for helping us make this event happen. At this special occasion, we will have several agendas, so please allow us to read sequences for today.
Okay, for the first, we will get the opening on 8:30 until 8:40, and we start the presentation of the first finalist on 8:40 until 8:50. The question and answer session will be held on 8:50 until 9:05. And we continue to presentation of the second finalist on 9:05 until 9:15. The question and answer session for the second finalist will be held on 8:15 until 8:19. The presentation of third finalist held on 9:30 until 9:40, and we continue to the question and answer session on 8:40 until 9:40 until 9:55, and the presentation of the fourth finalist start from 9:55 until 10:05. The question and answer session for the fourth finalist start on 10:05 until 10:20, and then the last presentation for the fifth finalist start from 10:20 until 10:30. The question and answer session for the last finalist will be held on 10:30 until 10:45, and the closing will be held on 10:45 until 10:50. And then we start the internal judging discussion on 10:50 until 11:50. And our last rundown is documentation and signature for the event report on 11:50 until 12. Wiswakharman Expo is an annual architecture event series held by architecture students of Universitas Gadjah Mada. One of the events is international architectural competitions that gives a chance for architecture students around the world to compete in the architectural field. The theme brought up this year is If Architecture is the Nature, where finalists are invited to create works as solutions to protect wildlife. Animals in the Wildlife Center are expected to receive protection so the extinction rate will not increase. If there is no effort to save endangered animals, later on, the species will sooner or later become extinct. Wildlife Center can also be a means of education to increase human awareness of the importance of wildlife in maintaining a balanced ecosystem.
Furthermore, we present Mr. Anton Siura, Mr. Yori Antar, and Ms. Hwang as the judges of the final judging session. We will read the profiles of our honorable judges. Mr. Anton Siura is an accredited landscape architect and the founder of Siura Studio. He has grounded his practice based on an innovative design approach to solve global challenge of climate change, biodiversity loss, and environmental degradation. In 2021, he was a World Architecture Festival 2021 finalist, Future Master Planning category for designing Ragunan Biopark. Besides Ragunan Biopark, he also received several other design awards for designing Batam International Plaza Park, second prize competition winner, and Bidadari Estate Garden and Blue Masapan, Outstanding Planning Award IFLA AAPME 2020.
Ms. Hwang Hyun-hye. Hwang Hyun-hye is a lecturer, associate professor, and a program director of BLA program from National University of Singapore. She has graduate post-professional degree in landscape architecture from Harvard University. Her research interests are tropical urban wilds and multifunctional everyday landscapes. She writes some books about landscapes. She has been a member of SILA, or Singapore Institute of Landscape Architects, since 2015, and ACLA, ASEAN Cultural Landscape Association, international member since 2014. In 2019, she received a Merit Award Minister for National Development's R&D Awards for her Biophilic Town project, together with PI Dr. Tan Poyok and other many prizes related to landscape design or planning.
Mr. Yori Antar is an Indonesian renowned architect and director of PT Awal and Partners. He founded Yayasan Rumah Asuh in 2008 to save and preserve traditional villages in Indonesia that are threatened with extinction, working together with the community. His efforts led him to win several national and international awards, including Arcasia Award for Rumah Tanam Timur 1990, Award of Excellence 2012 UNESCO Asia Pacific Awards, Cultural Heritage Conservation for Marunian Nusa Tenggara Timur, and Aga Han Award for Architecture nomination for Wairebo Nusa Tenggara Timur in 2013. Mr. Yori Antar also actively writes for architecture in various media and has published several architectural books, including The Pesan dari Wairebo 2010, Berburu dan Berburu di Tanah Marapu 2018, dan Pesan dari Wairebo, Kelahiran Kembali Arsitektur Nusantara 2019.
Okay, before starting the presentation session, we will read out the order of finalists in today's final judging. The first presenter will be the finalist number 37, followed by number 40, 56, 38, and last 13.
We will read the rules used in this competition. The first one is about the judging rules and the second one about the judging criteria. The judging rules. Number 1. The type of the judging is open, which is held via Zoom meeting and broadcasted live through Wiswakharman Expo YouTube channel. Number 2. Participants should join the Zoom meeting within a period of 8:05 till 8:15 Western Indonesian Time or Greenwich Mean Time +7. Number 3. All participants must attend the judging from start to finish. Number 4. All participants must turn on their camera during the judging process unless there are obstacles. Number 5. All audiences must turn off their microphone or on mute unless permitted by the MC. Number 6. Participants must provide a quiet environment, clear microphone voice, and not be stable internet, and should prepare internet backup in case there are electricity disturbances and others. Number 8. Participants will change the virtual background provided and change their username to registration number _ team name. Number 9, participants will start the presentation in the order that has been determined. Number 10, each group of participants will be given 10 minutes for presentation, followed by a question and answer session for 15 minutes. So, in total, each participant will take about 25 minutes. 11, in the question and answer session, the MC will invite the judge to ask questions, and then the participants will immediately answer. Then continued by the next judges. Number 12, if the team member or members of a team are not present if the participant and team are still incomplete until the end of the sequence, they will get score reduction unless they have contacted the committee a maximum of 3 days before the judging. And lastly, the judge's decision is final and cannot be contested.
Okay, next we will read the judging criteria. Aja yang baca. Second, the conformity of the design results in solving issues. The third, the design consideration of the building and program sustainability, both environmentally and socially. Fourth, the creativity in making an architectural design with special attractions, so public could be encouraged to visit it. Architectural design ideas and concepts, including the aesthetics, programmatic strategies, and contextuality. And the last, the innovation and future. Because we have confirmed the rules, we will move on to the next event, namely the presentation of 4 from the first serial number to finalist number 37 with the title of Human and
Maybe I read it for the finals number 37 with the title of Humaita. You are welcome to present your work within a duration of 10 minutes.
Assalamualaikum, good morning to the honorable judges, committees, fellow participants, and all of the guests. First of all, we are from Group 37, and we would like to present our work that's called Humaita. Humaita, in Dayak Maju language, means our home. So it is aimed not only to be a safe temporary place for orangutan before they got released back to the nature, but also to become a place to empower and educate the local community about what's happening around orangutan. Next. From the 2 sites provided, we chose the Kalimantan site with the urgency of the wildlife and also about the potential of the site. So in this area, we also find that there are several places that are close by that's related to the site. Next. Karangbikirai has its own potential and problems because it is a main home for Warden orangutan that is hard to find in other places. And also it is a town that is developing into a tourism area, which has various attractions like cultural to the jungles. But the developments and the activity of the human also has several problems because orangutans are now critically endangered. And over the last few years, there are at least 55% population reduction and it's predicted to reduce even further. So they are losing their habitats, foods, and lower birth number. Next.
There are three main design issues that we use to design our facilities. The first one is the issue of the critically endangered population of orangutan. The second one is sustainability aspect, and the last one is how we compete with the rapid development of the town by embracing local tourism and also community. Next. The initial form of our building is from the Rumah Betang, a traditional house from Kalimantan, and then we centered it towards the orangutan site for the maximum view. Then divide them to three different main building. Next. We try to, for the modern and sustainability aspect, we try to integrate shuttle bus from the city to our building. We also use passive design, such as maximizing natural sunlight and also ventilation. We also enhance greenery to optimize oxygen to the ecosystem by planting more trees. Next. For the orangutan well-being, we also use One Health approach that can be beneficial for human, environment, and also animals. We also create zonings that would allow humans and orangutans to coexist in a safe way. Next.
With those concepts in mind, we come up with some strategies as the response. The ecosystem, the response is treating soil with periodic fertilizer and supportive bacteria. And we are planting suitable trees for orangutan, like endemic tree, the nesting tree, and the food source tree. And we creating terrace land to prevent erosion, and the waterway that allow water to flow into reservoir, and it can absorb back into the soil. For the orangutan plot, it starts from the rescuing that are close to the site, most importantly from the settlement area, and then orangutan will be taken to the clinics for the examination and decide to follow up action. Orangutan that can be bred are also facilitated to make a better population number. Humanita is mainly a facility to rescue for a temporary time with a limited space. When the orangutan are ready, they will be transferred to another facility like Nyormenteng for the orangutan school. And then later will be transferred to Sebangau National Park as their natural habitat. This is our design for the site plan. We are dividing to three zoning. There are for the user, the visitor, the researcher, and the orangutan itself. The visitor accessibility are reachable and walkable. The shuttle from this is a bus shelter for the shuttle and dock to ensure tourism project, and the researcher already separate from visitor to maintain the sterilization, and because there are three main building, the service should be to access. And for the material that use the concrete and steel is for structural approach, a natural design impression, and built for efficiency, and perforated bricks and wood and glass for facade element, whereas Ulin wood used because local material and brick used adjust to local climates. This our section talk about connection between building, the interior and exterior.
This is the researcher building. So the first one is focused on the rescuing and health procedure. And the second floor is mainly focused on the lodging and communal space for the researcher and the volunteers. This is the activity that's going on with the researcher. There's inside the building and also outside the building.
Next one is the main building. The first floor is concentrate for the commercial purpose of the building, and the second floor is used for the educational purpose of the building, and the third floor is used for the cultural purpose. Next. Next. Here's the perspective from the orangutan side of the facilities. As we can see, there is some distance from the orangutan view to the human side of the facilities, and then we create the zoning with One Health principle. Next.
As we can see, there is a connection for the visitor like shuttle bus and pedestrian friendly. And these are facilities for local user and visitor to show their community for all age.
There are many main attractions for the main building, such as food court on the third floor, and then lobby plaza that is flexible and can be used for many other events.
From the main building, there are entrance to elevate pathway on the second floor. And the watching tower is inspired by the orangutan behavior with its climbing tree. So we designed a tower to match their height of the orangutan.
That's all from our design. Thank you so much. And if you still have time, we have a video to play to understand better about the design. That's all from us. Thank you for the time and opportunity that's been given to us to present this design. It's an honor. And if there's any input or questions, we will be gladly to accept and answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presenter of the presentation. Now that the presentation is done, we will proceed to the question from the judges. First, Ms. Hwang, you are welcome to ask.
Yeah, okay. So it's more about question than the any comment. So I'm just wonder what is the boundary of the site? I mean, why you choose the such boundary of your site? So this is one question. And then second question is, I have three questions. Second question is the surely the rescue center and what you are doing is different from the zoo. Like somehow they are very dedicated space, and then the people is gonna be another area, and then they're gonna be having a kind of the like the very segregated area. So I wanted to know that what's your effort to integrate them in the at the same time non-human also have a very comfortable and also human also comfortable. And so this is second question. So maybe to clarify, first one is a external boundary, like why you are choosing the certain area to be designed. Second one is within the site, where it's area that having an integrated area. And the third one is especially for this tourist point of view, who gonna be tourists, and then what's the target the visitors that you are thinking. So that's why you are designing something. Yeah, that's the three questions I have. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the question, Mrs. Hwang. Now the contestant may answer the question.
Okay, thank you very much for your question, Ms. Hwang. So the first question is about the boundaries of the site. The second question is about how to integrate between the human and the animal zones. And the third question is about who's going to be the visitor and the target of the facility. So okay, for the first question, maybe Nabila will answer first. Okay, I'm going to start with the second question. So for the zonings, we separate the zones. So can you see the site plan? Okay, in the site plan, you can find that there are certain zones, mainly okay, so there are mainly three zones, which is the the human zone that starts in the main building plaza and the front part, and also the service agriculture on the side on the east, and also the main part of the animal is in the forest. So we divide the zones with the terrace land. So it has different heights, and also there are waterways that separates all of the zones, and we divide the visitors that is mainly only on the building and the elevated pathway. So it's divided that way, and so they can only access those parts, but with the route of the pathway, we can see that they can pass every part, like the feeding area, and also they can see what's happening in the research building, so they can be aware of what's happening about the issue. So that's how we divide the zones. Okay, for the first question, my friend will answer.
Maybe I'm gonna answer the third question first. The third question is about how who's the tourist gitu, who's the visitor of this facilities. So we aim the visitor is from the local tourism from Indonesia and also outside countries, because for the we can see here in the site location, the site is nearby Sebangau National Park, which is a local tourism attraction, and also there's Nyaru Menteng Borneo Orangutan Foundation, which is pretty close to our site. And if we can see by the distance to Cilikriwut Airport, it's only 24 minutes by car. So the tourist itself can be from local Indonesian or can also be from abroad gitu. And also we also try to communicate with the local public in the Kalimantan itself, so that they can use the facilities to use for the cultural purpose, because there's also the educational purpose from the facilities in the main building. So yeah, that's all about it, I think.
And if I may add some more, the tourist is also the local community itself, because our main purpose is to educate and empower them through the activities.
Okay, and the second answer, I will answer it. Second question, I will answer from the One Health project. There are the boundaries from the site is the trees itself. So there is a distance between the main road, and the main building. And for the orangutan, the boundaries is the main building itself. So that's why we choose the orangutan in center, because it's already boundary with the building.
And the food is highly provided by the site, so it will prevent them to go out and search for themselves. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the answer, contestant. Does the judge need any further explanation from the contestant?
Well, it's yeah, I understand what they are doing is, so yeah, maybe ask another jury member that if any other questions. Yeah.
Okay, then thank you, Mrs. Hwang, for the question. We will proceed to the next judge. For Mr. Anton, you're welcome to ask.
Yeah, thank you for the scheme, which is this scheme is really about protection of orangutan. So I would say the orangutan is your client, right? Because it's really about how we protect them and make them feel comfortable at their home. So the question is, what is your design aspect that make the orangutan feels comfortable or feels happy in this development? That's number one. You can mention what kind of design aspect. Number two, what is the reason to make the building imposing and tall? Because as you know, the animal could be scared if they look at the tall building with many people and they might feel not comfortable. Is there any reasons when you do the building planning in terms of scale and the size? Thank you.
Okay, now the contestants are welcome to answer.
Okay, thank you for the questions, Mr. Anton Siura. The first question is what design that makes the orangutan happy, and the second question is about why is the building tall, because it affects the orangutan. Okay, my friend will answer the second question first.
Maybe I can answer the second question. So for the second question, what's the reason behind the height of the building? So actually, the building itself it's pretty high, but we use only 2 buildings for the main building. So from the total area of the site, we only use a little area for the human site, but we how we approach it is by how we use the materiality itself. So we use concrete for the natural look, and then we also use wood. Jadi if the orangutans look at the building, they can see they will see wood material, so it will be more natural.
Yeah, and I will answer for number one, how the orangutan will be comfort, because I think the first they will come to researcher building, that the researcher will be make the orangutan feel safe. And the first one is there is facilities like babies area, breeding area, orangutan forest. The orangutan forest itself is really kind of big, and there is many tower that can orangutan jump into that place, because the tree is already there, but still need some like this object for the orangutan feel their habitat, and the trees itself like damar tree, and it's already endemic tree that can help orangutan feels like home. And if you see, there is a baby area already have a playground there for the practicing their climbing, and this is our breeding area that can help how orangutan feel safe, and there is a big place, and for the distance there is a river, man-made river, that can help orangutan feel safe.
I may add some more. So the site is meant to be dense by the forest. So actually, in the scale of human, it will not be that clearly. It will not be that clear for the orangutan and the human to interact. So they're interacting in a safe distance and in a safe way.
Yes, and as you can see in the feeding area, the feeding area, the only orangutan come here, not the person. So the person only come to this place. So orangutan doesn't feel.
So maybe I can help. By the human can get to the tower, and then they can go down to feed the orangutan, so that the the one that's in the cage, it's the human, not the orangutan. So the orangutan will feel safe and still in their environment.
Thank you.
Thank you for the answer, contestant. And thank you for Mr. Anton for the question. Now we will proceed to the next judges. For Mr. Yori, you are welcome to ask the question.
Thank you for the presentation. I will ask to the participants. Pertama adalah mengenai etnik Dayak ya, etnik Dayak Palangkaraya itu hampir menyerupai dengan etnik Dayak yang ada di Kalimantan Barat. Jadi umumnya mereka tinggal di rumah betang atau rumah panjang, ya, yang umumnya bangunannya adalah bangunan panggung, panggungnya cukup tinggi untuk keamanan dan sebagainya. Terus berbentuk lurus memanjang, ya. Tapi kalian menginterpretasikannya dengan rumah Dayak betang yang bentuknya terdiri dari beberapa bangunan. Harusnya cukup satu bangunan lurus, tapi kalian menginterpretasikannya menjadi rumah panggung yang terdiri dari beberapa bangunan bertingkat dan di bawahnya bukan panggung tapi difungsikan. Bisa ditranslate?
Yeah. So what Pak Yori means is usually in traditional houses in Dayak, they are in straight shape. So can you explain a little bit more elaborate where do you find the inspiration from the house's roof? Because Dayak houses are generally straight and stilts, or we can say it's elevated, and they do not have multiple floors. And regarding the area, is too large. It could be reduced in a floor area. And can you explain a little bit more about that?
The second one, we have three questions. The second one, kenapa Anda menggunakan lahan bangunan itu terlalu besar? Ya, kalau bisa, harusnya kalian bisa mereduksi lahannya hanya menjadi 10% saja. Ya, dan bangunannya itu terlalu bangunan modern menggunakan AC, harusnya bangunan itu dibuat terbuka tanpa AC karena ini cost-nya jadi mahal, ya. Jadi itu pertanyaan kedua, kenapa luas bangunan terlalu besar? Harusnya bisa lebih transparan dan lebih simpel, ya. Karena ini bangunan ini menjadi ada koridor utama, ada sisi kiri, sisi kanan. Kenapa enggak bangunannya kecil saja, ya, tanpa AC, lebih transparan, ya. Jadi luas volume bangunan terlalu besar. Itu pertanyaan kedua.
The second question is regarding the building area. Pak Yori thinks that the area buildings are too large, and those buildings concept seems to be like an office area, a lot of air conditioning uses, and it's too massive. And Pak Yori thinks, why don't you make this more transparent, because more outdoor space area, so it will cause low energy too.
Ketiga, bagaimana memisahkan orang hutan dan manusia, walaupun sudah dibuat elevated deck, tapi orang hutan pasti bisa melompat ke elevated deck itu dan akan tercampur dengan manusia. Ya, mudah-mudahan orang hutan itu friendly, ya, jinak, ya. Tapi kalau dia dia tidak suka dengan manusia, itu bagaimana gitu ya. Oke, itu saja. Terima kasih.
Okay, the third question is how you separate orangutans and humans, because it would be better if the human and orangutans were separated altogether from maybe from the beginning of the entrance until the end, because Pak Yori thinks that the concept in this area, it's a little bit mixed up. There is a landed building and also there is a elevated deck. So can you guys explain a little bit more why this concept is mixed up? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Now the contestants are welcome to answer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yori, for the question. Maybe I can try to answer the first question about the rumah betang. So rumah betang is actually the long one and the one mass for main building. But for this function, we see the needing for for it to be divided, because the main building is for the visitor and it's not very sterile, and for the researcher building we need it to be sterilized, and for them to be to the researcher to feel more focused on the researcher itself. And then for the panggung, maybe we can see the exploded version for the main building. Yeah, as we can see in the first floor, there's some setback in the first floor for the facilities itself. So we still try to create the effect of the stage building by creating the setback in the first floor.
Okay, so I will answer the second question is why is the building very massive? So in this building, we want to integrate more activities so that it is not only a place for orangutan, but also to empower and educate local community. So there are various activities that can be conducted here, but also for the energy, we only use the AC mainly on the researcher building, because there has to be some procedure about the sterilization and boundaries that to keep the safety of the activity. And also in the main building, we use more passive design actually for the ventilation that can be going through by the brick walls, and also there are natural lighting from sunlight. And also, even though this is a massive building, we that's why why we choose to use steel construction, because it can be more faster and efficient, so it can reduce the carbon footprints in the construction phase. Thank you.
Okay, for the number 3, the pathway. The visitor were came, not all visitor, so can go the elevated. We should tell them the term and condition to the visitor. So we should limit the visitor itself. Not all visitor can come to elevated pathway. And the feeding area, as you can see from the side plan. Wait, in the side plan, is far from visitor area. And from the building, there is some gate, and there is a man-made river for separate the orangutan.
Okay. If I make some more, the feeding area is also focused on the far side of the building. So the feeding, the food trays are focused there. So it also some ways to so the orangutans doesn't concentrate on the visitor part. Thank you. That's from our team.
All right, thank you for the answer for contestant number 37. I hope the answer will satisfy the judges. And thank you so much for the question for the judges. And thank you to contestant number 37 for the wonderful presentation. You can now stop the session and we will now proceed to the next contestant. Okay. Now for the finalist, number 40 with the title of Time's Up, are welcome to present.
Hello, good morning to judges and our friends. We are from Team 40 and allow us to introduce ourselves. My name is Jessica Natasha and with my friends.
I'm Stephanie Julia.
And I'm Davis Chandra.
Today we're going to present our project, which is Kalimantan Wildlife Center. Indonesia is a country with the second highest level of biodiversity in the world. This archipelagic country has more than 38,000 species. Kalimantan is an island in Indonesia that has one of the largest tropical rainforests, a suitable place for many living fauna species, with 55% of them are endemic animals. Unfortunately, many don't appreciate the wealth that Indonesia has. Deforestation, poaching, and illegal trades are amongst the things that humans did for the sake of their own benefits that brought some animals to extinction. Therefore, Kalimantan Wildlife Center is built between the chaotic and ruthless world. The Wildlife Center is located in Palangkaraya, Central Kalimantan, Indonesia. The concept of this Wildlife Center is Time's Up, where this building emerges within the urgency of saving endangered animals before it's too late. The mass configuration represents the ticking clock, indicating that we must take action as quickly as possible or else the world might lose lots of its beautiful species. Now I'm going to explain the building transformation. We start with the basic shape of the building, which is a circle, representing the shape of a clock. The animal sanctuary is contained inside the circle. The second step is placing the three main buildings, which are the Rehabilitation Center, Research and Education Center, and lobby plus office area. The large green area in the northwest part of the site is made as if it is a part of the building by not placing any building on that spot, so the building doesn't isolate itself from the nature. We purposely leave a gap between the masses. In the next step, we make new axes that will act as the clockwork. The clock's all elements are placed above the Rehabilitation Center and Research and Education Center. The last one is finalization of the overall building, including adding facade, landscape, mini towers as vertical circulation, cages, water body, and other architectural elements.
Okay, this building is designed to imitate the animal's natural habitat, as the purpose of this wildlife center is to provide home for those animals, not to hold them as captives. We try to bring a whole rainforest, their natural habitat, to the site for the animals, instead of separating them from it. The entrance to the site comes from Manduhara Street, and the exit is to the east road from the site. There are two main entrances to the building. The first entrance is for the Rehabilitation Center, and the second one is the public entrance that leads to the Research and Education Center. Here are the isometry. There are three main functions in this wildlife center, which are Sanctuary, Rehabilitation Center, and Research and Education Center. The Rehabilitation Center is purposely made to be quite detached from the main mass so that it can stay private and maximize its function. Mass is placed near the main street so that it will be easy to mobilize the animals to the Rehabilitation Center. The mass is in a rectangular shape to make the circulation and space utilization effective, especially for a rehab center. And the research and education center on the other side is placed on the outer side of the sanctuary, keeping in mind that the animals inside the sanctuary should not be bothered by human presence at all. So we try to engage the human itself by limiting openings from the building to the sanctuary. Okay, the first, we will get to the wildlife sanctuary. Okay, wildlife sanctuary provides residence to the animals, especially animals that are not able to survive in the wild, be it due to physical disabilities or animals who lose their habitats so that they have no place to go. These animals will also be the wildlife center's ambassadors to take part in educating and raising awareness of issues regarding endangered animals. Animals that will be living in the sanctuary includes orangutan, bekantan, beruang madu, macan dahan, badak Sumatera, tarsius, and burung enggang. They will be separated according to their species in their own area. The area will be made in large enclosures situated to simulate their habitat and are also away from human activities and visitors' contact to keep the animals comfortable. The habitats are designed to give each species space privacy and enrichment. They will have swimming ponds with river pond systems, shelters, play structure, each created for each specific species.
The next one is rehabilitation center. Wildlife rehabilitation provides treatment and care of sick, injured, and orphaned animals with the goal of releasing healed animals back to their natural habitats in the wild. To be released, animals must be able to function in their natural habitats as normal members of their species. First of all, animals will be brought to the pre-examination rooms to get the preliminary checkups. Then they will get the treatments needed to recover a long time. Animals then will go either to the sanctuary or eventually be released. Treatments and care includes providing the physical and psychological needs of each species, which are facilitated in the pre-examination rooms, medical treatment rooms, operating rooms, X-ray rooms, indoor and outdoor recovery area. Here, animals are held in captivity only until they are able to live independently in the wild. For animals who are incapable of surviving, will be sent to the sanctuary as their new home. The third one is Research and Education Center. Consisting of various laboratories, researches are made by veterinarians to make developments and advancements in the animal conservatory. The researches include the study about wildlife reproduction, animals' nutrition needs, energetics, and behaviors. These researchers are taking part to enhance the quality and fulfilling the animal's needs in its conservation. Besides developing, this function can evaluate how the conservation is going so far in the wildlife center to find rooms for improvements. Later on, the results can also educate visitors more about the issue of animal conservation and studies about endangered animals. Education center provides an opportunity for public education and raising awareness about the dangers wild animals are facing today. An area tour, activities, and programs guided by experts will help visitors to understand more about the issues. Visitors will be able to look around the wildlife sanctuary through an elevated walkway surrounding the area, which are made 10 meters high to keep the visitors out of the animal's vision. Not for the sake of the visitors' comfort, the walkway is designed to benefit the animals with this distance. It's enough to make the animals stay comfortable and not feel threatened by the visitors' presence. Visitors may not be able to look the animals closely and freely, but that's what differentiates a sanctuary from a zoo, where visitors are meant to just observe the animals from afar. The activities are also facilitated in an exhibition hall, audiovisual room, and some indoor classes.
And here is the walkthrough video.
Sorry, I think there are some kind of technical problems.
Can you see the video?
No,
I'm
I think
sorry,
Audio.
it haven't showed yet.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Can you guys see the video?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so that's all from our team, Team 40. Sorry if there are any mistakes we made throughout the presentation. Thanks for listening.
Okay, thank you for finalist number 40. Now that the presentation is done, we will proceed to the question from the judge. The judge are welcome to us. First, Mr. Anton, you're welcome to ask for 5 minutes starting from now.
Okay, I think the approach to bring the rainforest is very good. And is there a reason that you mix with other animals other than orangutan? That's my first question. The second one is the design of the building looks quite contemporary. What is the future-oriented design and the sustainability aspect of the architecture design? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Anton for the question. Now the finalists are welcome to answer the question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anton, for your question. I will answer question number 1 first. Why there are many different animals except from orangutan? Because we think the urgency in Indonesia is not only orangutan, but Kalimantan also has lots of other species that are worthy to look out for, like beruang madu or badak Sumatera in Kalimantan itself. And we think we can do more than orangutan itself. Maybe my friend wants to add something.
I think it's enough to answer the first question. Moving on to the second question. We're trying to apply the contemporary culture into this building with this concept. We start from the concept which is times up to apply this concept and to project this concept. We try to resembles or show the shape as a clock. We thought that contemporary shape is the most appropriate way to make it happen from the concept we are trying to bring and the message we are trying to deliver. And for the sustainability aspects, we also try to put in some efforts to make the building still sustainable, such as natural lightings that we can see in the exhibition halls.
Does that answered your question, Mr. Anton? Or maybe
Yeah, I think
you want to
the
add
mix.
something? Yeah.
Yeah, if I can add, to bring in other animals into the enclosure. While this is not a zoo, this is a place to protect the animals. Whether when you introduce many extinct or many rare species animal into this enclosure would change the objective of the place to become a animal protection and conservation. That's my question. Yeah, because there's no brief about whether you can mix animal or not, and this is come from your initiative. I think it could be more purposeful if this center is really focused on certain species of animals. Then you build the environment or habitat that fits that animal characters. That's just my feedback.
Okay, I see. Thank you for your feedback, Mr. Anton. But maybe we wanted to add a bit more. Right, we focuses on only animals endangered only in Kalimantan. I think, and most of their habitats are rainforest. So we think it will work. But Alice, thank you for your feedback.
So I just wanted to edit that point because it's connected to my question. So the what I can see is that it's because of the, I mean, I remember that you mentioned that you wanted to imitate the animal nature habitat. But I guess the reason why I'm asking is because maybe different target species and different type of the habitat. But I'm not sure whether, I mean, this is a little bit more in that how to make this one to be really customized by the different species. And even in the building and also this design is, I mean, how the building can be also part of this consideration that how to make this one to be work for by different target species. Since you are considering the multiple species, so it means that it needs to be kind of specified by the different species. So that maybe it's a kind of, I mean, it is not just question, it's just about the comment that probably this is gonna be very interesting and useful if each animal gonna be happy with there, but in different way. So yeah, this is one thing that I really wanted to highlight today. Yeah, this is coming from my comment and question and all the things. Yep.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
Yeah.
Maybe I wanted to add that
sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay, maybe it's the time to move on the next judge. Please, Mr. Yori Antar, to welcome to giving the question for the participants.
Oke, menarik dari sisi desain pendekatan kalian adalah pendekatan arsitektur organik ya, master plan-nya organik. Namun saya masih terganggu dengan adanya begitu besar bangunan utamanya sangat masif dan bentuknya seperti tidak ada hubungannya dengan penataan kawasan binatang endemik yang ada di sana yang bentuknya organik. Kenapa nggak bangunan utamanya juga organik? Terus kedua, kalian perlu mempelajari lebih banyak mengenai arsitektur setempat, dalam hal ini arsitektur Dayak, ya, yang umumnya rumah panggung. Ya, kalau arsitektur panggung itu sudah jelas adalah arsitektur yang sangat eko, ya, karena dia strukturnya tidak melukai bumi. Jadi secara ini kan pendekatannya ini adalah bagaimana menghasilkan arsitektur yang dekat dengan alam dan dekat dengan binatang. Dan ini membuat bangunan utamanya seperti sebuah mall karena semuanya konstruksi beton dan semuanya landed begitu. Sayang, mestinya kalian bisa angkat itu sehingga tidak mengganggu resapan. Terus kedua, pertanyaannya adalah elevated deck Anda kenapa terlalu tinggi, itu biayanya juga besar dan tidak terlalu bisa melihat binatang-binatang kecil yang ada di bawah. Dan ketiga, untuk memisahkan binatang yang agresif dengan binatang yang lebih jinak, itu kalian bisa memisahkannya melalui membangun dengan sungai-sungai atau membuat pulau-pulau, ya. Karena kalau tidak nanti binatang akan saling bercampur, tapi bagaimana binatang itu terpisah tapi berada di dalam satu sharing space begitu. Ya, kurang lebih itu 3 pertanyaan saya. Mungkin bisa ditranslate.
Yeah. Pak Yori thinks first question is the mass composition of the site plan is very interesting. The shape is overall is organic, but the question is why is the main building seems so massive and the shape instead of organic, why it's shaped like rectangular? It's not like following the shape of the organic. And the second is, have you guys studied about Dayak architecture? Because Dayak architecture proven as the most eco building, one of the most eco building, because the house is on stilts or stage, and the building that you guys design looks most likely like a massive building, looks most likely like a mall, and the concept of the master plan is showing that there is going to be the less absorption of the water. And the third question is why the height of the elevated deck is too high, and how can the visitors can enjoy and observe the animals below? Because if the level of the elevated deck is too high, most likely the animals below are not visible. It can be seen. And to separate between the aggressive animals and the other animals, to separate animals and the human, we can make that, we can separate them through making like a cluster or islands. Can you guys explain? Yeah, like by making the rivers and lakes and clusters, it can solve the problem to separate the animals and the other animals. Can you explain about that? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I'm going to answer the first question. Maybe it looked massive, especially from inside the sanctuary. It's actually part of our design because our goal is to so that the animals can't see the existence of human beings. So as you can see from the pictures, they see walls, so not humans directly. And even though it's massive from the inside, we actually designed the buildings to be relatively open from the outside, which is from the human's perspective. And why is it not organic? Because first of all, especially for the clinic research, for the rehabilitation center, we wanted to make as effective as possible. So we tend to start from the shape of rectangle because our main goal is to create effective space, especially for the injured animals.
Okay, maybe I will get to the third question about why the elevated deck is placed really high, and it will hinder the visitors so they cannot look closely at the small animals. So our answer to that, it's actually what we are looking for, what we're going for in this design, because animals have a safe distance So we made that elevated walkway that high because we wanted to take the pressure off the animals, so they won't be bothered by our presence at all. And the purpose of this building itself is not for us to be entertained by looking at the small animals, by looking at them closely, because we wanted to give the animals their space, their safe space. So if we could not look at them directly or closely, I think that's a good thing, because let's keep our distance to take the pressure off them. I think that's for question number 3.
Maybe to add some points to the answer. So the sanctuary is different from a zoo or the wild itself. So the function is still integrated with the rehabilitation center and also the research and education center. That's why there are some boundaries that we cannot cross to make it as a sanctuary. Whereas we still think about the animal-oriented design, where we apply the height of the deck, and also the enclosures are not exposed to the human activities and others.
And to answer the second question, we apply contemporary culture to this building because we start it from the concept, which is times up, as explained before. So to apply that concept to the building, we thought that contemporary shape is the most appropriate way to make it happen.
Also, to answer the last question about why not make island to separate the animals. We actually did have a river pond system to separate them, but maybe it wasn't shown clearly in our visualization and videos. But there are some river pond, river natural looking pond we made in order to separate the different species. But also, if there's if there wasn't a river there, we placed a wire mesh fence to keep them separated. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for the answer, and we will move to the next judge for Miss Hwang. Welcome to us.
Yeah, so I already have some question and comments in the previous time, so maybe it's just a quick kind of the additional question that maybe you can answer. The idea is that I mean, it would be great having a somehow to showing this why how you determine that the percentage of the landscape and building area. So I mean, if that's a kind of the having some clear justification that why you choose the certain area, I mean certain proportion to be a kind of the habitat and certain proportion to be a building. So is there any like logic behind of this? What I'm missing is that there is a not really having a diagram to showing this kind of the process. So this is one thing. And the second one is, again, go back to this target species. Probably you also talk about the safe distance by target species. Surely there are different kind of the distance and requirement for different target species having a same as a different kind of the habitat. They also having a certain behavior and also food source and also the condition that they need to do it. So surely there are some differences. So that's the two things I wanted to hear from you about your design process. What makes you to determine these two aspects? Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the question. To answer the question, we're trying to border between the sanctuary area with the street or the human activities on the right and on the bottom side. So if we can see the orientation and the placement of the buildings or the masses are on the right, the bottom, and on the left, where on the top we are exposing the sanctuary area to the nature. And the research and education, also the lobby and office area are placed on the right because it is intersection between two streets where it is the most exposed. And we place the rehabilitation center on the other side to make it as an exclusive and also private area where the circulation will be also private and separated from the public area.
I will then proceed about the proportion. The proportion itself, we actually thought a lot about it. The proportion for the sanctuary itself, we think our purpose is not to keep animals there forever. So I think the space is enough, made enough for only a few of them. And on the other side, for the rehabilitation center, we provide many space for lots of animals. There are indoor recovery, and also we have outdoor recovery on the other side of the rehabilitation building. So we're keeping in mind that we are here to cure them, to rehabilitate them, not to keep them here forever. So I think with keeping that in mind, we made our proportion this way. And so, yeah, we actually have lots of space in the rehabilitation center. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your yeah. Answer.
Okay. Next is about the distance, right? About the behavior of each animals have. I think in here maybe we didn't explain clearly earlier. We actually separate them by carnivore, omnivore, and herbivores. So the omnivore area is for the beruang madu, the bears. They have a separate area there, and also a river that separates them. And on the other side, on the herbivore, they tend to have more mild boundaries, I think. Yeah, so we actually paid that in mind. Okay.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe give to the MC.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hwang, and participant number 40 for the question and answer session. I would like to remind for the next Q&A session will be optimized in 15 minutes, including 3 judges. So the honorable judges and finalists, we hope that the question and the answer could be obtained in 5 minutes. Okay, thank you again for the nice presentation and Q&A session. Next, we would like to move to the next participant, number 56 in the title of Exit Borneo. For the participants, welcome to present the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much for the time, the MC, and good morning, everyone. Before we start our presentation, we will show you a video as an introduction of our project. Okay, that's the video and we will start our presentation. So once again, good morning. We are from the third group that will present our Wildlife Center project entitled Exit Borneo. Before we discuss the building more further, we will discuss the issues that caused this building to be built.
Okay, starting from all the problems of the ecosystem, nature, and animals, the balance of nature in Indonesia is increasingly threatened to enter into deeper problems. Moreover, with all technological developments and the personal needs of particular community, natural exploitation continues and indirectly threatens the existence of flora and fauna in a certain context. Several efforts in responding to this problem have been carried out both by scientists and the community of flora and fauna lovers. But because we're talking in the context of architecture, we make a statement where people, nature, and animals are in one integrated space.
We respond to this statement by designing a space that responds to the three needs, especially nature and animals. Starting from a flat context, we try to redesign it to make the forms that are more attractive to visitors, as well as connecting all existing programs, make the space and the context into one unit, both programmatically and for users in general. The concept that we want to raise is that we don't confine nature and animals, but the exact opposite. Starting from the low zone where the floor is the exact height of the water, it doesn't have any enclosure to the fence. Starting into the medium zone, it has a full closure of the fence, and the high zone to enjoy the poultry, to see the birds flying around the facility.
So located in Kalimantan, and not too many other buildings have been built, this site can be accessed via the road in front of it and is divided into several parts of the ecosystem, starting from the poultry area, aquatic area, to primate area, in an effort to provide a sense of boundaries regarding the wildlife center zone with the surrounding buildings. We try to cut and fill the area near the road to the east and fill it with water, thus creating a boundary between nature and the existing building. The three main existing programs also help to connect the existing ecosystem. In connecting buildings and contexts, first, there is a bridge, where as previously explained, even though humans are enclosed in quotes, humans can still enjoy the beauty of nature and the animals that exist. Connecting the context as well as the existing building makes the bridge an important element in Exit Borneo.
We have a concern of giving the most coverage area to the natural aspect. Our building is just hitting 40% of the total coverage area, so the ecosystem for the wildlife could be the dominant aspect. We as a human do a minimum intervention to the wildlife ecosystem. And then there is the main building, which is the center of the activities carried out by humans, starting from the open entrance and immediately showing a little of nature that exists in the context, making visitors more curious about the natural beauty that exists in this site.
We also use bioclimatic architecture as our approach, where the design to respond to its context started in the early design process. This can be seen from the massing itself. We all know that Indonesia has a hot and humid climate, so we decided that the massive volume is subtracted so it forms various sizes of opening to improve natural ventilation by providing more stack effect and cross ventilation.
The existing plaza also allows people to mingle, relax, while enjoying the natural beauty that is in context. Furthermore, the main building has the function of becoming an educational purpose by giving an information of the wildlife in the information corridor.
Wildlife rehabilitation involves acquiring and caring for orphan, sick, and injured wild animals, primarily birds and mammals, for the purpose of releasing such animals back to the wild. This facility provides spaces for capturing, examining, diagnosing, and treating the animals using proper veterinary and hospital care. Other than that, it also provides feeding, physical therapy, exercise, medicating, and a pre-release conditioning program. That's all from us. Thank you for your attention. Don't forget to keep design with responsible. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Now we will proceed to the question from the judges. The 15-minute timer will start when the first judge asks the question. For Mr. Yori, you are welcome to ask the question first.
Ya, terima kasih untuk paparannya. Desainnya cukup menarik, walaupun bagi saya tetap terlalu masif dan landednya terlalu besar. Harusnya bisa dipecah, tapi ini juga ada strategi untuk memecah menjadi 3 masa bangunannya. Saya hanya ingin berkomentar bagaimana orang-orang hutan ini bisa bisa hidup di antara 3 bangunan yang terpisah ini tanpa merasa terganggu dengan bangunan-bangunan yang cukup padat ini. Terus mengenai elevated deck, apakah diperlukan atapnya? Saya rasa tidak perlu itu. Jadi harusnya kalian bisa lebih memahami bahwa kita orang Indonesia adalah masyarakat 2 musim. Masyarakat 2 musim itu adalah masyarakat outdoor, bukan masyarakat indoor. Tapi bagi perlakuan terhadap arsitektur yang kami buat, seperti kita masyarakat 4 musim yang lebih banyak berorientasi di dalam bangunan dan akhirnya lebih banyak menggunakan AC dan sebagainya. Ya, walaupun tadi saya lihat kalian telah membuat ceiling yang cukup tinggi dan sebagainya, tapi harusnya di kawasan bangunan ini tantangannya adalah bagaimana memperkecil landed house-nya, building-nya, dan bagaimana itu semua harus bisa dibuat tanpa AC. Ya, apalagi di era pandemi, semua saat ini yang terkena pandemi adalah orang yang hidupnya bergaya 4 musim. Tapi kalau Anda berorientasi ke 2 musim, desain bangunan kamu akan berubah sama sekali. Itu saja, terima kasih.
Okay, the first question is, overall the design is quite attractive, although to Pak Yori itself, he feels that the main building is too massive. The landed building in the main building is too big, and even though that he can see the team strategy to break the building into multiple buildings. And the question is, how can these orangutans live between these 3 separate massive buildings? Okay, the second question is regarding this elevated deck. It seems that there is no need the roof on top of it because Pak Yori thinks as an Indonesian, we are people who live in 2 seasons. We are an outdoor society, not an indoor society. So Pak Yori see that the architectural treatment that you guys put on the elevated deck, it's for the society that lives in a 4 season because the challenge is to reduce all the master plan to minimize the landed building, and how you guys make this building to not using much or air conditioning, especially we are living in this pandemic season. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question, Mr. Yori. We have the answer about the massive of the building and our treatment to the for weather country and to weather country that you mentioned in the design we made. It's in the bridge we use some roof to make a closure for the human, so the human is engaging themselves from the animals in the area, and then the first question is have a correlation with the second question that how orangutan do living in this design. And in the previous slide, we make the forest is similar to Sebago National Park, and to adapt the Sebago National Park, and the forest is giving the orangutan to get freely in the area and not just in this design or not in this enclosure, but the orangutan can freely go to the Sebago National Park, and we just focus on rehabilitation center in this area, but the wildlife animal is free to come in this area. Okay.
Related to the orangutan comfort itself, the existing bridge with its column structure also becomes a seamless boundary, which is integrated with the existing vegetation. And beside that, we do not use too much paving in the site. So other than the main building and rehab center, we got no paving at all. And we try to create an area where there is a very little interference with the nature so that the orangutan can still live in their natural environment without going through the buildings too much. And for the roof that you mentioned earlier, because Kalimantan is quite hot, we try to avoid the existing climatic atmosphere. And regarding its connection with animals, the roof is also used to protect humans from animals that may come and interfere with the human flow itself. So there is a safety reason in the roof itself. And yeah.
Regarding of the concern about energy usage for cooling the facility, we've also calculated that we only use air conditioning in some certain areas. Like example, at the rehabilitation center, where of course there's some operation room, X-ray rooms, and then like medical treatment. But for the air conditioning usage, it's only used in that facility. So in the main building for the plaza and the main entrance, and of course the bridge, it didn't use any air conditioning system.
Bisa tanya lagi? One more, yeah.
Oh yes.
I'm sorry, sir, but it's already past 5 minutes. Maybe for the next judges, or maybe for the next judges, is there any question that has already been asked by Mr. Yori?
Saya masih mau bertanya, bisa? Saya masih mau bertanya.
Sedang saya tanyakan apakah mungkin ada juri yang pertanyaannya sudah ditanyakan oleh Bapak, jadi bisa lebih dipercepat.
Enggak, dia udah gitu.
Oh, belum mungkin. I'm sorry, sir, but the time is already exceeding from 5 minutes, sudah lebih dari 5 menit, jadi mungkin bisa lanjut ke jurus selanjutnya, begitu Pak, bagaimana?
Okay.
We are very sorry. So for the next judges, we please Mrs. Hwang to ask the question.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just echo of this point that what Mr. Yori mentioned it, that it's, I mean, I really appreciate this, like the building, the well layout building, and then with the disrespect of the tropicality. So I really enjoyed your process that to make it. And also I really appreciated this point that when you answered that, it's about this all the minimize the footprint of the human, and then try to make some of the plants and also the nature to come. So maybe there's a little missing part is that how this other area is really work for the like what you suggest in the building, but what is the nature also can having a certain way to come, and then what kind of the expected activity you think is possible. So, but this just little point. But I really appreciate your all the process. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for the comment, and we may have some answer to it. So from the expected activity from the visitor itself. So from age, we kind of target the visitor like from adults to young people. But however, due to the purpose of the educating purpose itself, children both from comfort, safety, and experience are considered to be an important visitor. So the existence of educational programs in the information corridor or rehabilitation center itself is expected to increase children's curiosity about Kalimantan animals. So if we get the question of what is the expected activity that happens in this kind of building, we really want to create the sense of speciality or experience that kids especially will, we will lots of fun and lots of learning and yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, my point was that how about the non-human? Like, what's the activity they can make it to? Yeah, but yeah, I just want to leave to Anton that maybe we have a little time left. So yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, for the next judges, Mr. Yori, I'm sorry, Mr. Anton to ask the question. Please maximize both of the judges and the participant time. Thank you.
Yeah. First of all, I like the video what you introduced in the beginning. It shows that the environment is very naturalistic because that's what we need for enclosure for the orangutan. So in terms of curating the outdoor space, it's kind of successful how you make the orangutan feel comfortable. And the link bridge design also looks good because it make the people's hiding inside this linkway rather than expose them and can be seen by the animal. So designing an animal enclosures protection is really about make the animals feel of freedom, not being observed by humans, but make the humans being inside the cage instead of can be seen from everywhere. So I just have one question. The landscape looks very dense, while in this protection enclosure animal, it need an open space that make the management or people easy to observe the animals. Is there space that you curate for that kind of the monitoring? How could the management monitor the movement of the animals? Otherwise, it will be difficult to find the orangutan. So that's only my question.
Thank you, Mr. Anton, for the question. The way that we try to monitor the animals for the like staffs and everything, we try to provide it by the walkway is have a various of height. So it has its low zone, its medium zone, and high zone. So in some of the points there are some high zone where the staffs could monitor the animals easily, and it is also where the tree is not as dense as in the previous picture. So that's how we try to monitor the animals.
Yeah, to add some more answer, we can see it in the Saipan, the zoning part, the ecosystem zoning part. Yeah, so in this particular part itself, we kind of zone where the animals habit in this particular site. But if we want to see the exact animal in the exact or certain times, we cannot really do that because the animal will, they do their own activity naturally. So yeah, people can maybe see them from the high zone if they want to see some various animal, but in a particular time, in a particular specific location in the area, maybe people can see some various animal, but not really that detailed version because of the animals, they may do their own activity as natural as possible. So yeah.
And I would like to add some point. I need to see the final visualization at the end of slides. Okay. We just preserve the open area is from the lake, our lake in the design to gather the animal for their water needs, and that our bridge is circling the lake, and this is the open space that we could see like in the in our project. That's all.
All right, excellent. I think the your answer my questions about how you create a different vista to see the animals. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you for the judges for the question and for the contestant number 56 with the title of Exit Borneo for the wonderful presentation. You can now stop to share screen and we will proceed to the next contestant. But before we proceed, we will also thank our sponsor and media partners, G&A Group, PT Petrokimia Gresik, PT Global Rancang Selaras, PT Jaya Sakti Barutama, Petro Kopindo Cipta Selaras, and PT Pupuk Kalimantan Timur for helping us making this event happen. Now for our next contestant, please welcome contestant number 38 with the title of The Essence of Absence. The contestant may begin the presentation with a duration of 10 minutes, starting from now.
Good afternoon, judges. We're from Studio Gundu and would like to tell you a story about our design, The Essence of Absence. The Bornean orangutan is an endangered orangutan species native to Kalimantan Island. The International Union of Conservation of Nature has classified the Bornean orangutan as severely endangered. The natural habitat of orangutan is in the rainforest. In Kalimantan, forest fires and land conversions to palm farms create the greatest threat to orangutans. This is the map of deforestation in Kalimantan between 2004 and 2013. That is quite alarming. Furthermore, there is a plan to relocate Indonesia's new capital city, which will result in even more deforestation for development. This is the map of orangutan population in Kalimantan that is correlated with their deforestation. Study shows that just 38% of Indonesia's orangutan population will survive in the next 500 years. And this is our site location in central Kalimantan. In order to save orangutan, we start with three main approaches: environmental, to create a safe haven; social, to raise awareness and promote education; and economical, to add tourism potential. This design main functions are orangutan sanctuary with an edutourism facility. The concept of this design is to create a hidden architecture that blends with the surrounding forest. The forest, as orangutan's natural habitat, is the most essential aspect of the site, not the rehabilitation facility. Creating a hidden architecture makes this design more natural habitat for orangutans to grow and live freely with minimal interventions. Let's continue to the next part, which is the design process. The design begins with a rainforest rather than the man-made structures. For efficiency, facilities are located around the perimeter of the site and act as a transition between forest and road. We put a rehab center in the middle of rainforest to normalize the orangutans with their real habitat. We also create a natural barrier that surrounds the forest with elevation settings for orangutan safety. We use circles as an additional mesh. The circle shape tends to send positive emotional message about harmony and protection. A dynamic walkway was built for visitors to visit various facilities. We don't want to make a static and geometric elements because it can go against the organic form of nature. The walkway is also elevated to minimize interference with nature. To resemble the shape of nature, the building form is organic. The design has many openings and inner court for passive design and integrating the inner space with nature. The flat existing site is curved using cut and fill system to create a natural barrier for orangutan safety. We also create a waterscapes such as swamps and shallow water that act as a retention pond. The building is hidden in nature and contextual with local architecture using local natural materials. As a tourism site, this design is playful and iconic, but still emphasizes nature as the main appeal. We don't want to create massive and structures like visually standout design. We wanted our design to be as invisible as possible by blending and hiding man-made architecture with nature.
And now we will continue with the design programs. The orangutan is supported by three key pillars: rescue, rehabilitation, and release. The rescued orangutans are categorized into two main groups: baby orangutans and those who are older. Baby orangutans are then put into the care of the jungle preschool, while the older orangutans are put into the jungle school. As they progress and achieve more wildlife skills, the rescued orangutans are then put into the open enclosure before they are released. The research and education programs are supported with labs that can be seen by the visitors through the walkway. The facilities include 3 main labs that focuses on environmental sciences and biology, forestry and zoology, and also biology and biomedicine. With the wildlife pathway sequence, visitors can learn about the value of wildlife and human cohabitation by seeing and being in the presence of orangutans without interfering. The sequence starts at the entrance, followed by a gallery. Then the visitors are brought to see the jungle preschool, to learn at the labs, see at the healthcare facility, explore the jungle school, enjoy the views at the open enclosure, and at the end, experience the endpoint. These are the rooms and spaces designed within the sanctuary with the wildlife pathway sequence. A watchtower is placed in the open enclosure, supported by multiple viewing decks. The entrance blends in with the landscape while making a statement while also being hidden. The visitors are treated with a view of the rainforest as soon as they enter. The sunken gallery is hidden amongst the landscape, which provides visitors with broad information about the orangutans and some personal stories about memorable rescued orangutans from the facility. The jungle preschool is a temporary home for the baby orangutans where they are trained basic wildlife skills and are given stimulation for their rehabilitation. Multidisciplinary research and teaching facilities such as labs are included into the sequence for the visitors to learn more about the supporting factors of the orangutan survival. The healthcare facility can be observed without interfering the healing and the treatment of the orangutans. Rescued juveniles and adult orangutans are then put into the jungle school if the orangutans are not independent enough to join the open enclosure. Rescued orangutans are then trained with wildlife skills and their keys to survival. The open enclosure is a practice habitat for the orangutans where they are released into the wild. The sequence is designed through a semi-transparent metal mesh walkway to create a hidden path, blending in with their surroundings. Visitor journeys end at the endpoint, where they can rest, eat, and shop for local souvenirs with a rainforest view, and also help the orangutans by adopting or to provide for the rehabilitation process for the orangutans themselves.
Okay, so now we will continue with the building form concept. We created 3 types of building forms, the one that hides in the landscape, the tree house, and the one inspired by local architecture and nature. The entrance should have a strong appeal to attract people to visit. The entrance is made as if emerging from the land, like a cave, to create a curiosity of visitors to come and explore the sanctuary. The entrance should Kalimantan has a lot of rainforests with big trees. The behavior of orangutans living in the tree branches is the inspiration to make buildings that resemble tree houses. And the last form of the building takes inspiration from nature and local architecture. The form of the roof continues to the contours of the land around it, further supporting the hidden architecture concept. The building is elevated, mimicking house on stilts, resembling local architecture that has minimal intervention on the ground. In line with the building forms, other supporting structures such as visitor walkway was designed to hide amongst the tree canopies. The design was made as such to prevent the orangutans from reaching the visitor walkway. For the majority of the building, these are the materials used to further blend the building with the surrounding. So now we will continue with the last part, the design sustainability. Now we will look at the landscape and waterscape configuration. Firstly, we designed the orangutan open enclosure that consists of many types of land, such as flat green, shallow water, peatlands, marshes, and tropical rainforest. The open enclosure is contained within a natural barrier that is arrived to create a barrier with the surrounding land. As a support, human activity space that needs to be sterile from orangutan presence were added close to the main road, also acting as a buffer. We also tried to define the sustainability aspect by using the Sustainable Development Goals. Firstly, partnership for those goals. This project is an opportunity for the communities and other bigger parties such as government to collaborate. This design also improved local economic growth. The conservation facility and edu-tourism sustain each other economically. There's also live online, going with a minimal instruction design approach to respect the site while making sure to conserve and restore the ecosystem. Next, there's the climate action. The design uses local material and form to create a tropical design. Lastly, we try to improve the quality of education by raising awareness about the importance of wildlife for everyone. The floras and faunas found in this design are mainly the ones that directly support the needs of orangutans, such as the need of nesting and vegetation for consumption. Designing the project with a long-term solution in mind increases the project viability. In 2008, orangutans were declared to be critically endangered. Currently, there is estimated to be just 100,000 Bornean orangutans left in the wild. This project aims to help rehabilitate and fight endangerment of orangutan. In the future, when orangutans are no longer endangered, the site can be easily brought back to a rainforest as the orangutan habitat, thanks to the minimal intervention method. Lastly, I want to bring this up once more that humans and wildlife have an inextricable bond that is frequently forgotten. Knowing this, we should join hand in hand with nature in creating a design that is the best for both worlds. To help you better experience the design, we also prepared a 3D architectural walkthrough.
Okay, thank you for the presentation for the participant number 40. I'm sorry, 38. So I would like to ask Miss Hwang for giving the question. The time is start.
Okay, yeah. I really enjoyed the presentation, and so I can see that you have a lot of kind of the systemic process that how you wanna address all the tasks that you mentioned at the beginning, and so also ideally, I mean personally, I also think that it's like how we gonna using this ecological landscape or ecological design into connect with the economic aspect. So I wanted to hear from you about more toward this because you put it at the beginning in the three main aim to achieve. One is about the economic aspect. So I wanted to hear from you more about that. What is your way to make a design intervention in terms of the economic aspect? And then second question is where it's very enjoyable to having this organic form, but the what's the kind of your thinking process and the decision process to having a certain proportion as a landscape and certain proportion gonna be building, like what is the percentage you made it and then why you are determined like this. So I have two questions. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for the question. For the finalists, you may answer the question.
I would like to answer the first question about economical sustainability. So we designed tourism programs that could be integrated with the design. And also there's a few aspects, for example, in the endpoint when there's a restaurant and there's also a gift shop where we can collaborate with local artists and to yeah, for to collaborate with local products also to it will be a balance between the economical aspects, so it can sustain each other economically. But the tourism aspect itself, we try to limit it so there will not be too much intervention and too much contact for the orangutans and the humans themselves, the tourists. I think that's the answer for the first question. Maybe my friend would like to continue to answer the second one.
Okay, so for the second one, about the building proportion related to the open space. So first, we try to look at some precedents of program like this that rehabilitates orangutan, and then fit the room requirements to the site. So we make it proportional, the inside to the outside. Maybe my friends like to add to the answer. I think maybe that's all from us.
Yeah, okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Ms. Hwang and the participants. Next, I would like to ask Mr. Anton to asking the question. Dear Mr. Anton, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you. I'm curious about the organic approach, right? Of course, the design, we call it if the architecture is nature, yes, your architectural design looks like mimicking the nature, mimicking the landform, including the roof and the walkway, and I like the circulation where you make it very naturalistic, right? Is there consideration on managing the topography? That's my first question. How you place the buildings, how you place the walkway, is that according to the site topography? Number one. And number two is, what is the inspiration of the roof design, right? Is there anything behind the roof? Because it looks like there's a volume under the roof. Or what is the space? Do you maximize that? And what is the material for the roof?
Okay, thank you for the question, Mr. Anton. I would like to answer. The first question is how we manage the contour, and the level settings. We try to create organic and natural landscape, as natural as possible. So for example, for the barrier, we don't want to create some kind of fence, massive or stone, concrete, but it's just natural. We want the landscape and our design is to blend together. And the second question is the roof. The organic shape of the roof is we inspired, of course, from the landscape, from the nature. And the material is the woods. And this design is inspired by local or maybe tropical architecture that contextual for the site. And there is a big roof for the rain, to respond the rain. And I think my friend would like to add.
Okay, so maybe I would like to add something to the first question about the refine about the boundaries. So the site itself doesn't have any like topographic or height difference because it is near dwelling. So we try to create a natural looking environment for the orangutan to live. Also, I would like to add maybe the next slide here. The last slide, the one with the water. Okay, maybe I'm unable to annotate. So I will also like to add that this project or the refine along the boundary is also a preventive measure for flooding, because death by drowning for orangutan is not uncommon. So while trying to mimic their natural habitat, we have to put special measures to prevent this from happening. The refines on the boundary not only acts as a physical barrier, but also as a passive solution to control the water level of the shallow water bodies in the center. This is the going outside is the direction of the water directed by the difference in height as in the section. Together, they created like a detention system to combat against flash flood and inundation that often happens in the area. Maybe that's all from us. Thank you.
Sorry, I would like to add. I think Mr. Siura asked about the material about the roof. The material is wood shingles, and we use wood and bamboo also. For local materiality aspects. Thank you.
All right. Is there a room under the roof? Because it looks the roof quite high and massive, right? For some of these wood shingles. Is there a space under that roof, or is just a purely roof only? If you look at the image before this.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, this one.
Okay. So your building design, is it air conditioned or natural ventilation?
No, it's naturally ventilated. That's why that's one of the aspects. That's why we raise the roof. So for passive design strategies.
All right. I think enough for me. I would like to let Mr. Yori to give more questions.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Anton. For Mr. Yori, you are welcome to ask the question.
Saya mengapresiasi desain Anda yang sangat tropis, tanpa AC, konsekuen dengan pendekatan organik dan hubungan antar ruang dalam dan ruang luar yang cair, ya. Jadi di Kalimantan walaupun panas, kita belajarlah pada arsitektur setempat yang jelas bahwa rumah-rumah dikasih dengan atap yang dibuat dari sirap, itu jelas akan membuat di dalam ruang sangat dingin, apalagi dengan bukaan seperti itu. Jadi saya tidak khawatir bahwa tidak diperlukan AC di sini, ya. Apalagi kalau memang lokasinya ada di Taman Nasional, itu lebih ekstrim lagi bagaimana kamu mendesain dengan seminimal landed, ya. Dan di sini saya ingin menanyakan berapa persen landed house kamu terhadap seluruh kawasan, ya, berapa persen kira-kira sudah ada hitungannya nggak, misalnya berapa persen, ya. Dalam pendekatan yang lebih ekstrim dalam greenhouse building itu bahkan semuanya harus bisa diolah kembali, ya. Kalau kita mau bikin se-ekstrim itu, tanpa AC, cahaya seminimal mungkin, ya. Terus kemudian di recycle, air di recycle, buangan air bersih di recycle, air kotor di recycle, karena kita ingin mendekatkan orang hutan dengan habitatnya, begitu kan? Jadi ini kan bukan orang hutan yang dibawa ke kota, begitu. Tapi dari sisi perencanaan desain, saya appreciate terhadap desain kamu. Hanya sedikit satu pertanyaan. Kalau saya lihat antara manusia dengan orang hutan di sini, rasanya dalam desain ini nggak perlu lagi ada elevated deck, karena memang pada dasarnya orang hutan itu bisa masuk ke dalam bangunan-bangunan yang ada di landed house, begitu. Kelihatannya begitu, karena tadi ada fotonya. Orang hutannya memang ada di sekitar itu. Apakah orang hutan di sini adalah orang hutan yang sudah jinak, sudah biasa dengan manusia, atau memang kalau sudah jinak dan sudah dekat dengan manusia, apa perlu dengan elevated deck? Itu saja. Terima kasih.
So Pak Yori thinks he appreciate the very tropical design very well. He thinks that you guys make the excellent relationship between the indoor space and the other spaces. No air conditioning needed here. The question is, what is the percentage of the building area to the total land area? And second question is, how to separate orangutans from the commercial building activities? Like, for example, if the orangutan enter the kitchen, is it the orangutan is tame, or the orangutan is close to the humans? And what is the solution design for these orangutan behaviors to the commercial buildings? And Pak Yori thinks that if that's so, the concept is the orangutans blended with the commercial buildings, and why is the elevated deck is still needed here?
Okay, thank you for the question. For the participant, please answer it for the remaining time as as soon as possible.
Okay, I think I would like to answer the first question. So, the covered area in our site is estimatedly around 20% of the site, because we try to make the building forms quite playful. Also, try to make it also contextual with the local typology of the houses. We try if you can see here, there is like 3 building forms where there's a landed one, and there's the elevated one, and there's the one on stilts. That's why by using many different building forms, we can minimize the areas that are covered, the landed areas in our site. Maybe for the second question, I think my friend would also like to answer.
Okay, so I would like to answer the second question. So the end goal of the project is to release the orangutan back to the wild. So we think that the elevated walkway is still needed so that human presence doesn't become the normal for the orangutans. Because it is very important for the orangutan to not see humans as a source of food or affection. Also, the orangutan inside are not jinak or docile to the humans, so it can do some harm to the humans themselves. So we believe it's better for us to quietly observe them from far. Maybe from the perforated walkway, we can see through the perforated walkway to the orangutan. And yes, the building is for the orangutan. So so the human that do activities inside the building is only the staff that caters to the orangutans, not the visitors. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question and answer for the judges and the participant number 38 with the title of The Essence of Absence for the wonderful and inspirational presentation. You can stop the screen now, and then we will proceed to the last contestant for finalist number 13 with the title Suntiang. You may begin the presentation with the duration of 10 minutes.
Judges, other finalists, and all participants of this meeting, good morning. We are from DEN. We would like to present our project, Suntiang Wildlife Complex.
Suntiang Wildlife Complex is an animal rescue and observation center that accommodates fauna rehabilitation, especially for endangered animals and balance of natural resources.
So why we choose Padang? Padang has chosen as the city of Suntiang Wildlife Complex site because of their adequate potential to bring awareness about the importance of preserving flora and fauna. Unfortunately, illegal.
I'm sorry to interrupting. We could start over the presentation because your voice was echoing and get some disturbed.
Okay.
You can check it, and if it's already good, we can start it over. I think the sounds come from your screen sharing, so please you can try it again.
Okay, is it good?
Oh, okay. You can start the presentation.
Sorry for the technical problems. Suntiang Wildlife Complex is an animal rescue and observation center that accommodates fauna rehabilitation, especially for endangered animals and balance of natural resources.
So why we choose Padang? Padang has chosen as the city of Suntiang Wildlife Complex site because of their adequate potential to bring awareness about the importance of preserving flora and fauna. Unfortunately, illegal hunting activities that occur make any endemic animals almost endangered nowadays. Thus, Padang are suitable to become the site of Suntiang Wildlife Complex.
From the main issue, we conclude that we had some concern. First, the project has main function as a sanctuary for endangered animals to be prepared, return to their natural habitat, and also maintain the balance of the nature.
The second one, it needs support the Sustainable Development Goals concept of zero waste, also sustainable building and communities by utilizing prefab materials and passive design concept.
And last, the project itself was taken from the philosophy of woman headdresses in Minang as a sign of transition from a young woman to adults, same as the complex being the transition of animal regeneration.
Okay, from the potential of site, we use circle as base form. It represents the unity of the relationship between humans, animals, and plants as living creatures that inhabit the earth. Then, we use spatial axis as a zoning separator between general and special zone, and also cast the circle into a quarter of circle resembling the shape of Minang roof.
There are three kinds of endemic fauna that endangered in Sumatra: Nias parrot, Sumatran orangutan, and Sumatran tiger. They supervised by professional researchers and volunteers. Also, other public visitors can visit to Suntiang Wildlife Complex to learn about the previous issue.
So how do we treat the animals? At first, animals are studied for their physical health before being grouped with their similar colonies. Secondly, animals are placed in temporary habitats of the small groups. The goal of this stage is for the animals could be retrained to interact with their fellow colonies and also sharpen their wild instinct. And the last one is rehabilitation phase to make the animals getting wild as they should be before the animals release into the wild.
The design process starts from analyzing about the existing, and then we decide the orientation by dividing between east and west into the base zone. Based on function and site topography analytics, we create into three more specific zoning. There is animal wildlife rescue zone, education zone, and public zone. After that, we separated the circulation between vehicular and pedestrian. By using the basic form, we use that for observation bridge for pedestrian. From here, all the function connection can be connected.
There are 6 basic main methods to provide all of the function, like rehabilitation area, office, research and vocational function, volunteer cottage, observation bridge, pavilion, and restaurant. After that, we applicated all the aspects to mesh to be transformed. We provide the animal area into 2 sides of the site, in the west and on the east. Most of human facilities are placed centralized to make it more easier and effective to use. In addition, pavilion, restaurant, and anjungan were made as the plus function and to attract more visitors to come.
Pavilion were divided into 5 stages of special area. The stage 1 is to welcoming, the stage 2 is to get awareness of the issues, and then the stage 3 is to contemplate, and then the stage 4 to learn how to solve, and the last one is to look up to the future. On this project, we are not only focused on the human architecture, but also on the animal architecture itself, just like the orangutan observatory house that made to provide the orangutans to play, to observe, and to rest. Also, this architecture can grow horizontally and vertically based on the modules. Besides, there is a bird rehabilitation area that can create interaction between humans and birds, in addition to providing education to humans about the bird rehabilitations.
For human architecture, there's cottage as an area used for volunteers to stay with facilities for rest area, pantry, bedroom, and communal room. Last but not least, Fun and relax walk serve to provide additional pressure for visitors so they are able to enjoy the beauty of the surrounding nature.
That's all from us. We would like to thanks for your attention. We hope that animal rescue and sustainable environment awareness will be increased by this competition. At last, we want to share Suntiang Wildlife Complex walkthrough. Please. That's all from us. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Now we will proceed to the question from the judges. The 15 minutes timer will start when the first judge asks the question. First, for Mr. Anton, we are welcome you to ask the question.
Okay, thank you for the scheme. Can you go to the site plan? Okay, basically, I'm just curious, where is the area for the animal sanctuary, right? The location of the animal enclosure, because this project, the focus is a lot on the focus on the building, and the building looks very massive from the roof to the
Mr. Anton?
Hi, sorry, the internet was broken.
Okay, it's okay.
Yeah, so
May continue.
can you highlight where is the area of the animal enclosure and protection? Because the building looks very massive and high, yeah. And is there any particular design intent for this animals area?
The contestant may answer the question.
Thank you, Mr. Anton, for the question. We separate by three basics phase of animal rescue. On this side was the rehabilitation area, and this area is to quarantine and isolation area. And maybe it looks on the slide of.
Sorry, I think your voice is broken.
Hello? Yes.
I think it's Mr. Anton, the one that has a bad internet connection, since the contestant voice is fine in the commentator's room. It looks like Mr. Anton is free, so maybe we can postpone the question and we can move to the next judges first. For the next judges, maybe Mr. Yori, you may ask the question.
Ya, saya mengapresiasi desain Anda yang mengangkat arsitektur setempat, dalam hal ini arsitektur Minangkabau, karena arsitektur Minangkabau menganut filosofi alam tak kambang jadi guru, ya. Alam menjadi inspirasinya. Hanya di sini saya mengalami kebingungan, apakah kawasan yang Anda buat ini adalah kawasan resort atau sebagai sebuah clubhouse ketimbang untuk merescue dan mengembalikan binatang ke alam bebasnya. Terus yang kedua, apakah di Sumatera Barat itu ada orang hutan begitu, ya? Karena orang hutan setahu saya ada di Kalimantan. Jadi untuk merescue-nya dan untuk mengembalikannya agak terlalu repot untuk membawanya dari Sumatera ke Kalimantan. Sebaiknya rescue itu adalah binatang-binatang setempat. Kalau harimau, saya yakin ada memang harimau. Orang hutan ditaruh di Sumatera Barat, saya kurang yakin, ya. Pertanyaan saya, ya. Jadi sekali lagi aktivitas manusianya terlalu banyak fasilitas. Anda juga memberikan fasilitas penginapan dan sebagainya. Jadi kehilangan fokus. Jadi pariwisatanya terlalu ditonjolkan. Harusnya unsur pariwisatanya itu adalah unsur yang paling terakhir, ya. Karena unsur pertama adalah bagaimana merescue dan mengembalikan binatang-binatang ini ke habitatnya. Dan lokasi yang Anda pilih juga terlalu dekat dengan hunian. Sebaiknya memang lebih dekat ke alam. Saya membayangkan harimau lepas dari kawasan itu, jalan-jalan di kawasan perkampungan, ya tentu saja mungkin daripada menyelamatkan harimau, lebih baik menyelamatkan manusia. Ujung-ujungnya harimaunya akan menjadi korban. Kira-kira begitu dari kacamata saya sebagai juri. Terima kasih.
Okay, so Pak Yori appreciates your team in bringing Minang architecture into the master plan, because architecture in Sumatera Barat teaches like alam tak kambang jadi guru, which is mean that the nature is the inspiration, but Pak Yori some sort of like lost focus between, is this the animal rescue program, or is this a zoo, or this is a more some sort of resort program? The second question is there any orangutans in West Sumatra? Because as far as Pak Yori know that orangutans comes from Kalimantan, I think it's a lot of work to rescue orangutans in Sumatra, West Sumatra, because orangutans is originally came from Kalimantan. And Pak Yori thinks too many human activities in this master plan. And Pak Yori lost focus. Is this the master plan is the tourism element in this master plan is too prominent, because Pak Yori thinks that the rescue program should be more highlighted in this master plan. And the location, the third question is, the location of the master plan is too close to community settlements, and animals can be released into the residential areas, and there is a risk of the victims around this area. And what do you guys can explain about that? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. For the first question, about this focus about this area is sure we prioritize the animal rescue for this area, but besides that, we want to give the education to people that the issue about the how to we can about it gitu, and it can make the attention for the people to for the cottage. Maybe for the cottage there that is our response about how to educate people by they might be can to be volunteer to they can join to manage how to we can deal with animals, maybe like that.
And for the next question is about, is there any orangutan in Sumatra? So based on our analysis that we do, there are orangutans in North Sumatra. So simply, the Suntiang are made for provide the rehabilitation for orangutans in Sumatra. We know that orangutans are basically more many in Kalimantan, but also based on our analysis that there are orangutans too in North Sumatra, and they are basically in danger for the illegal human activities.
And maybe for the second question, I want to add something about the orangutan in Sumatra. Basically, about this issue, we look at the conflict between human and animals can be happen anywhere. So, like illegal logging, and anything, it can be anywhere. So we, of course, we make it because it can happen anywhere.
Okay, thank you for the contestant answer. Maybe we could move on to the next judges. For Ms. Hwang, we welcome you to ask.
Okay, so is Anton's question, can you answer it? Maybe I want to also ask the same question, like what is your main, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. What is your main consideration? I mean, I really appreciated this landform, you mentioned it, and so you try to allocate the building based on this landform, and so, but again, its main center is about this rescue plan. So I wonder that what's your consideration of this aspect? Yeah. Like what is the landscape, like open space design that you are considering together for this rehabilitation function?
The contestant may answer.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wong, for the question. It may be connected from the previous question to Mr. Anton, right? So at first, I explain it again. We put at three kind of phase of animal rescue. It's an isolation area, rehabilitation, and quarantine. Then we think the isolation and quarantine area, it would be at the private area on the left side of this stage, and on the rehabilitation area, it would be good if the animal get some interaction with the human more before they return to their habitats on this side. And also we we think that this area had hills and vales. So we take a look at the site is like more landscape doesn't not a more landscape not we use it at a building. So there's a view from the site and on the site. Maybe that's our consideration to put the zoning and the base machine building. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the contestant for the answer. Now we will proceed to Mr. Anton. For Mr. Anton.
Sorry, I have an internet problem, so I use another laptop. I think my feedback is the building looks very massive as compared to the site area. Almost more than 50% looks occupied the green area. So while I agree with Mr. Yori feedback that it looks more like resort or center for people to enjoy themselves, right, rather than for animal sanctuary. So maybe you could focus more on the animals and the quarantine or rehabilitation area in more naturalistic setting. For example, the image that you show in the tiger enclosures, that looks very sad for the tigers. It could be done much better from architecture point of view, integrate with the natural setting and so on.
Thank you for your feedback, Mr. Anton.
Any addition for the participants, for Mr. Anton?
I think it's enough. Thank you for Mr. Anton for the input. It means very much to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for the contestant. You can now start your screen sharing. Thank you, judges, for the question. And contestant number 13 with the title of Suntiang. That is all the finalists for the International Architectural Competition in WEX 2022. The judges now will be discussing the winner of today's event. But before we end it, we would like for all the finalists to turn on their camera and get ready for documentation. Would you mind helping me, Shiva?
Okay, on my count, one, wait, I will check if all the participant has already opened the camera. I will wait for a minute. Okay, maybe we can start the documentation. We'll take the photo in 1, 2, 3. Okay, maybe once more. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay, thank you. The announcement of the winner will be published in WEX Instagram account at WEX_UGM on 22nd of May at 7 p.m. Western Indonesian time. The judges' decision will be final and has been judged according to the judging criteria. Anyways, Wiswakharman Expo 2022 also present International Architectural Symposium and International Architectural Exhibition. So we also want to remind you that the International Architectural Exhibition WEX 2022 is still open until 22nd May. So let's come to experiencing the wonderful home for humans, animals, and plants. Let's check the highlights of the International Architectural Exhibition WEX 2022. Okay, I would like to remind you that the works of top 10 IAC WEX this competition are also present on the exhibition. So wait no more and visit it on wiswakharmanexpo.com.
With that being said, thank you so much for all the finalists that includes contestants, judges, and people that joined the judging and the process for today's event. Also, shout out to our sponsor and media partners, JNA Group, PT Petrokimia Gresik, PT Global Rancang Selaras, PT Jaya Sakti Barutama, Petro Kopindo Cipta Selaras, dan PT Pupuk Kalimantan Timur.
Representing the committee, we would also like to apologize for any faults and wrongdoings we did both during the event and in the process. We also apologize for the overtime or many inconvenience we've caused. While waiting for the results, let's ask for the best to come up. For the judges, please enter the breakout room. Once again, thank you so much for the participation and see you again in Wiswakharman Expo 2023.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a nice day.
Rumah adalah tempat di mana ketika kamu kembali dalam kehangatan keluarga. Rumah adalah tempat kita merasa nyaman dan tenang. Cahaya yang memandumu pulang, kehangatan yang membuatmu tetap di sana. Tidak ada hal seperti tinggal di rumah untuk kenyamanan sesungguhnya. Sebagai perusahaan developer yang berawal mula dari perusahaan konsultan arsitek yang memiliki pengalaman di jasa desain arsitektur selama kurang lebih 15 tahun berkarya, GNA Group telah banyak menghasilkan desain-desain perusahaan terbaik dan yang mewujudkan hunian premium dengan kawasan integrated development yang tersebar di sejumlah kota di Indonesia dan menghasilkan beberapa penghargaan dari berbagai instansi majalah properti di Indonesia sebagai developer dengan desain terbaik. Dengan komitmen yang kuat, kami berusaha memberikan yang terbaik pada semua produk yang kami hasilkan. We build house like our home.
Indonesia, negeri yang kaya raya akan sumber daya alamnya. Bisa kita lihat, deretan hijau yang menghampar menjadi pertanda luas dan suburnya Nusantara. Sejarah pun mencatat kemakmuran Indonesia sebagai negeri agraris, mengukuhkan bahwa sektor pertanian adalah sumber utama pemenuh kebutuhan pangan negeri ini. Dan kini, Indonesia terus berjuang lebih keras untuk merealisasikan kejayaan pangan bagi rakyatnya. Sebagai produsen pupuk terbesar dan terlengkap di Indonesia, Petrokimia Gresik telah berhasil mengukuhkan posisinya sebagai perusahaan solusi agroindustri terkemuka di Indonesia. Berlokasi di atas lahan lebih dari 450 hektar, Petrokimia Gresik aktif memproduksi beragam pupuk dan produk kimia lain sejak dioperasikannya pabrik pertama pada 10 Juli 1972. Dan kini telah mencapai angka produksi yang fantastis, yakni mencapai lebih dari 8,9 juta ton per tahun. Ini menjadi bukti bahwa Petrokimia Gresik selalu berupaya mewujudkan visinya. Beragam produk berkualitas hadir menjadi idola dalam sektor pertanian negeri. Tak heran jika Petrokimia Gresik berhasil menjadi produsen pupuk unggulan di Indonesia. Selain produk pupuk berkualitas, Petrokimia Gresik juga memproduksi produk non-pupuk. Berbagai produk tersebut menunjukkan konsistensi dan komitmen Petrokimia Gresik sebagai perusahaan untuk solusi agroindustri. Melalui berbagai program pendidikan dan pelatihan, serta pengembangan sumber daya manusia, Petrokimia Gresik terus berupaya meningkatkan kinerja dan kompetensi karyawannya agar terus selalu berinovasi. Sebagai perusahaan yang selalu mengedepankan kualitas dalam seluruh aspek, Petrokimia Gresik menerapkan sistem manajemen mutu, sistem manajemen lingkungan, dan sistem manajemen keselamatan dan kesehatan kerja yang berfokus pada health, safety, environmental excellence, dan sistem manajemen pengamanan yang terintegrasi dengan baik. Untuk mendukung kegiatan operasional perusahaan, Petrokimia Gresik menyediakan berbagai fasilitas pendukung, diantaranya 4 dermaga berstandar internasional yang terdiri dari dermaga utama, dermaga UBB, dermaga konstruksi, dan dermaga SI. Di unit pembangkit listrik, gas turbin generator menghasilkan daya listrik 33 MW dan steam turbin generator SA1 serta cogeneration. Yang keduanya memiliki kapasitas total sebesar 50 MW. Sedangkan unit utilitas memiliki kapasitas steam 2 kali 150 ton per jam serta tenaga listrik sebesar 32 MW. Petrokimia Gresik juga memiliki unit penjernihan air di Babat yang berkapasitas 2.500 meter kubik per jam dan di Gunung Sari yang berkapasitas 3.000 meter kubik per jam. Sebagai perusahaan yang peduli terhadap lingkungan, pengelolaan limbah di Petrokimia Gresik juga dikelola secara serius. Unit pengolahan limbah cair serta gas menggunakan sistem 3R, reuse, recycle, dan recovery. Beralih dari fasilitas pendukung, adanya laboratorium di Petrokimia Gresik merupakan wujud dari penerapan fungsi quality control terhadap proses produksi yang berlangsung secara baik dan terencana. Aspek lain yang tak kalah penting adalah membangun jaringan pemasaran dan persebaran yang kuat. Petrokimia Gresik telah berhasil membangun jaringan distribusi yang kuat dan tersebar di seluruh Indonesia. Meski telah menunjukkan kinerja luar biasa, sejak berdiri, Petrokimia Gresik hingga saat ini terus berinovasi dengan pemanfaatan teknologi mutakhir. Selanjutnya terdapat kebun percobaan yang memiliki fasilitas laboratorium, mini plant pupuk NPK, petroganik, pupuk hayati, dan petroseed, serta unit bioproses untuk mendukung pengembangan teknologi hayati. Dalam menjalankan bisnisnya, Petrokimia Gresik selalu mengacu pada tata nilai perusahaan yang dikenal dengan untuk melindungi semua pemangku kepentingan dalam kegiatan operasional, prinsip good corporate governance juga diterapkan dalam setiap aspek operasional perusahaan. Dengan integrasi antara fasilitas, sistem, dan kerja keras insan Petrokimia Gresik, perusahaan pun membuahkan hasil yang manis. Selain itu, kesuksesan ini juga ditunjang dengan dukungan anak perusahaan dan usaha patungan Petrokimia Gresik. Melalui berbagai program pemberdayaan masyarakat, kerjasama kemitraan, serta pelestarian lingkungan, Petrokimia Gresik ingin tumbuh dan berkembang bersama masyarakat, menciptakan harmoni untuk mewujudkan visi. Tak hanya itu, kesejahteraan karyawan terjamin dengan adanya fasilitas yang lengkap, mulai dari rumah ibadah, sekolah, rumah sakit, hingga kompleks Tridharma. Dari awal hingga akhir kita telah menyaksikan bagaimana Petrokimia Gresik berkontribusi terhadap sektor pertanian, serta upayanya memberikan solusi atas permasalahan pangan nasional. Petrokimia Gresik, solusi agroindustri.